The Galactic Federation prided itself on many things: its rigorous bureaucracy, its meticulous documentation, and most of all, its unwavering commitment to safety. For every species in the known universe, safety wasn't just a priority, it was the priority. Except, of course, for humans. Commander Jack Hudson stared out the viewport of his shuttle, watching the massive docking rings of Starbase Epsilon-9 grow larger as they approached. He'd been chosen as Earth's representative to the annual Galactic Safety Convention, which was either an honor or a punishment, depending on who you asked. "Commander Hudson, please prepare for docking procedures," chirped the shuttle's AI. "Would you like me to review the 247-point safety checklist before we begin?" Jack sighed. "Computer, just dock the damn ship. I must insist on at least covering the emergency evacuation protocols for." "Override, Hudson Echo 99. Just dock." The AI fell silent for a blessed moment before responding with what Jack could only interpret as a digital pout. "Docking initiated. Please note that your safety override has been logged and reported to Galactic Safety Standards." "Add it to my collection," Jack muttered. His reputation preceded him. In his 15 years of space exploration, Jack Hudson had broken more safety regulations than any human in history, and yet, paradoxically, had the highest success rate of any commander in the fleet. This contradiction was precisely why Earth's United Space Command had sent him to this convention. Humans had a unique perspective on safety that the rest of the galaxy found either fascinating or horrifying. As the docking clamps secured the shuttle, Jack gathered his minimal luggage, another violation, as the recommended packing list for the 3-day convention was 67 pages long, and made his way to the airlock. The doors hissed open to reveal an awaiting delegation of 3 aliens, a tall, willowy Voraxian with translucent skin, a squat Glebanian with too many eyes, and a hovering, gaseous mist entity contained in what looked like a high-tech fishbowl. "Commander Hudson." The Voraxian's voice warbled with excitement. "I am Senior Safety Coordinator Nexel. These are my associates, Subcoordinator Blurb and Atmospheric Hazard Specialist Wisp." Jack extended his hand before remembering that handshakes were classified as a Class 3 biocontact risk by Federation standards. He awkwardly converted the motion into a wave. "Just call me Jack." Nexel's nearly transparent face registered shock. "But, your title is an essential safety identifier. How would emergency services know your rank in crisis scenarios?" "They could ask." Jack suggested. All 3 aliens stared at him as if he'd proposed setting the station on fire for fun. "Please follow us to your safety orientation," Blurb said, blinking several of his eyes independently, a sight Jack found mildly nauseating. "It only takes 14 hours, and then you'll be cleared to attend the welcome dinner." Jack stopped walking. 14 hours? For a safety orientation? What could possibly take that long? Wisp's gaseous form swirled anxiously in their containment sphere. "That's the abbreviated version. We've condensed it specifically for humans based on your species' known attention deficit issues. The full orientation is typically 3 days, Nexel added helpfully." 3 days? What do you people do around here?" Jack asked, genuinely bewildered. Currently, Federation statistics indicate that the average sentient spends approximately 82.4% of their productive time engaged in safety briefings, compliance documentation, and preventative measure rehearsals, Blurb recited proudly. Jack felt his soul leaving his body. "And the other 17.6%? "Filling out forms confirming we've understood the safety briefings," Nexel answered. "Kill me now," Jack whispered to himself. "Pardon? Was that a request for emergency services?" Wisp's containment sphere began flashing yellow. "No. No. Just an expression. Look, can we streamline this? I've been on space stations before. I know not to touch exposed wiring or try to breathe vacuum." The 3 aliens exchanged glances that Jack couldn't begin to interpret. Finally, Nexel spoke. We could, perhaps, condense the orientation to the absolutely critical elements. But it would be highly irregular. How long would that take? Jack asked hopefully. No less than 6 hours, Blurb stated firmly. Jack checked his watch. How about I give you 30 minutes to tell me anything unique to this station that might kill me, and we call it even. The gaseous form of Wisp swirled so violently that their containment sphere rocked. Impossible. It would violate at least 342 separate safety regulations. Look, I promise not to die while I'm here. Would signing a waiver help? 3 hours later, Jack found himself sitting in a sterile conference room, his hand cramping from signing his name on the 900th page of what the aliens called the abbreviated ultraminimal risk acknowledgement form. He'd negotiated down to a 2-hour safety briefing, which felt like both a victory and a defeat. And this concludes the section on proper breathing techniques during gravitational fluctuations, Nexel announced, changing to slide 437. Now we'll move on to the 16 recognized methods of evacuating during an atmospheric contamination event. Jack's head hit the table with a thud. Commander Hudson. Blurb exclaimed. That action carries a significant risk of cranial trauma. Please consult section 47B of your orientation materials regarding proper posture during informational sessions. Before Jack could respond with something that would definitely violate diplomacy protocols, a shrill alarm began blaring throughout the station. Warning, gravitational stabilizer malfunction in Sector 12. All personnel initiate Safety Protocol Gamma 7. Jack jumped to his feet. What's happening? The 3 aliens had frozen in place, their eyes, or in Wisp's case, sensory tendrils, wide with panic. It's a gravitational anomaly, Nexel whispered. But we haven't finished reviewing the emergency procedures yet. We need to consult the manual. Blurb began frantically searching through a digital device. Gamma 7 procedures are on page 3942. Jack could feel the artificial gravity beginning to fluctuate. Objects around the room started to drift upward. Don't we need to, I don't know, do something? Jack asked incredulously. We must follow proper procedure. Wisp insisted, their gaseous form swirling anxiously. Step 1, form emergency response team. Step 2, designate a safety coordinator. Step 3, review evacuation routes. Jack was already halfway to the door. Where are the gravitational stabilizers? Sector 12, Nexel replied automatically, then gasped. But you can't go there. You haven't been certified for emergency response. You haven't even completed basic orientation. Watch me, Jack called over his shoulder, already sprinting down the corridor. As he ran, ignoring the increasingly frantic announcements over the station's comm system, Jack realized that the gravity was becoming more erratic with each passing moment. He pushed off walls, using the fluctuations to propel himself forward faster than running would allow. The signs for Sector 12 led him to a sealed door with warning lights flashing around it. The control panel indicated a full lockdown. Computer, override door, emergency access, Jack commanded. Voice print not recognized. Safety protocols in effect. Please wait for certified emergency response team, the station AI responded calmly. Jack eyed the manual release and made a decision that would give every safety officer in the quadrant an aneurysm. He pried open the panel beside the door and yanked the emergency release lever. The door slid open to reveal the station's gravitational control center, with 2 technicians floating helplessly near the ceiling, desperately trying to reach the controls below them. Hold on. Jack called out, anchoring himself to a bolted-down console. The gravity was almost non-existent now. You can't be here, one of the technicians, a jellyfish-like creature, bubbled in panic. This is a restricted area during emergencies. Where is your certification? Where is your safety harness? Where is your emergency response team? Jack ignored the questions, studying the control panels. What's the problem with the stabilizers? The primary coupling is misaligned and the secondary systems are offline, the other technician, a robot with too many appendages, explained. But we must wait for the certified repair team who has reviewed the 700-page gravitational emergency manual. A violent shudder ran through the station. The lights flickered ominously. Warning. Gravitational failure imminent. Catastrophic station integrity breach predicted in 7 minutes. Jack made a split-second decision. No time. Tell me what to do, and I'll do it. But that would violate. Tell me or we all die. Jack shouted. I don't know about you, but dying seems like a pretty significant safety violation to me. The robotic technician's optical sensors whirred in what might have been surprise. The manual override requires someone to enter the maintenance shaft and physically realign the coupling. But the safety protocols. Jack was already locating the maintenance shaft entrance. Which way? You'll need protective gear. A safety briefing. A spotter team. Which way? The jellyfish-like alien pointed a trembling tentacle toward a small hatch in the floor. Down there. But the radiation. Jack had already yanked open the hatch and was lowering himself in. How do I realign the coupling? As the technicians shouted instructions, Jack descended into the bowels of the station's gravity generator. The cramped shaft was hot, filled with crackling energy, and definitely not meant for human-sized maintenance workers. Warnings in 17 different languages lined the walls. 5 minutes, several burned fingers, and one torn uniform later, Jack had managed to physically force the primary coupling back into alignment. The gravity slowly returned to normal throughout the station, allowing the technicians to regain control of their systems. When Jack emerged from the maintenance shaft, sweaty, singed, and thoroughly irritated, he found not only the technicians waiting for him but also his 3 alien guides and what appeared to be the entire safety committee of the Galactic Federation. That, announced a severe-looking alien with 8 arms and a clipboard in each one, was the single most egregious violation of safety protocols I have witnessed in 300 cycles. Jack brushed some ash off his shoulder. You're welcome for saving the station. You entered a restricted area without authorization. Yep. You manually overrode a security door during an emergency. Sure did. You performed a critical repair without proper training, certification, protective equipment, or supervision. And yet, Jack said, gesturing around them, we're all still here, breathing and complaining, instead of being scattered across half the sector as very safe, regulation-compliant space debris. The safety committee fell silent, mandibles, tentacles, and various alien appendages twitching in confusion. Finally, Nexel stepped forward. Commander Hudson, while your actions were effective, they have raised serious questions about human approaches to safety that we must address at tomorrow's convention. Jack grinned. I look forward to it. But first, I believe I was promised dinner. As they escorted him away, Jack couldn't help noticing that the aliens were keeping a slightly larger distance from him than before. As if he were either dangerous or miraculous. Maybe both. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of the Federation's problems with humans and their cavalier attitude towards safety protocols. Word of Jack's unorthodox heroism spread through Starbase Epsilon-9 faster than a quantum transmission. By dinner time, the assembled alien delegates were watching him with a mixture of horror and fascination. There he is, Jack heard someone whisper as he entered. The human who touched the primary coupling with bare hands. Jack grabbed a drink from a passing server drone, ignoring the fact that he hadn't been issued his personal beverage safety certification. Commander Hudson. A crisp, professional voice cut through the murmurs. Jack turned to find himself face to face with a humanoid alien whose blue skin was covered in geometric patterns that pulsed with light. I am Senior Safety Inspector Cloare of the Luminari. The committee has assigned me to observe you for the remainder of the convention. Lucky you, Jack replied, taking a swig of his drink. This is a serious matter, Commander. Your actions today have raised significant concerns about human integration into galactic society. Because I saved everyone? Because you did so while violating 417 distinct safety protocols. Cloare produced a tablet. I have compiled a list. The rest of the dinner proceeded with Jack at the center of unwanted attention. Delegates bombarded him with questions about humans' cavalier attitude toward risk and safety. By dessert, Jack had had enough. All right, everyone, listen up, he announced, standing. Yes, humans take risks. We climb mountains because they're there. We explore space because it's unknown. We touch hot plates after being explicitly told they're hot. It's because we learn by doing, by failing, by getting back up and trying again. Without risk, there's no innovation, Jack continued. Every major human breakthrough came because someone was willing to break the rules, to try something unsafe, to fail spectacularly until they succeeded. That's who we are. As Jack attempted to retreat to his quarters, escorted by Cloare, the station's alarms blared once again. Warning, multiple system failures detected. Initiating emergency protocols. The lights dimmed, replaced by red emergency lighting. Cloare's patterns flashed rapidly as she checked her data terminal. Primary systems, backups, and tertiary failsafes are all going offline simultaneously, she said, her voice tight. This should be statistically impossible unless it's deliberate. The station jolted violently, throwing them both against the wall. Jack recovered first, pulling Cloare to her feet. Life support is failing. Escape pods are offline. Communications are down, Cloare reported. The safety committee will now convene to determine the appropriate response protocol. Jack stared at her in disbelief. There's no time for a committee. We need to act now. Critical failure imminent. All personnel proceed to emergency assembly points for further instructions. Where's the central control hub? Jack asked, already moving. Level 3, Section 7, Cloare answered. But access is restricted to. Lead the way, Jack interrupted. And grab anyone useful you see. To his surprise, Cloare complied, her patterns shifting to a determined orange. Within minutes, they'd assembled an impromptu team of aliens with specialized knowledge of the station's systems. They reached the control hub to find it in chaos. The senior staff were frozen in indecision, caught between conflicting emergency protocols as the situation deteriorated. What's happening? Jack demanded. The station director, a multi-limbed Archivian, looked up in shock. You cannot be here. This area is restricted to Level 7 certified. The station is about to become a debris field. I think we can suspend the visitor policy, Jack snapped. What's the status? A technician answered, someone has infected our systems with a cascading failure protocol. It's bypassing all safety measures and shutting down critical systems one by one. Can we stop it? Not without violating at least 73 emergency response protocols, the director interjected. Oh, shut up, Jack said. If we follow your precious protocols, we'll be following them straight into oblivion. Cloare stepped forward, her patterns now a fierce red. Commander Hudson is right. This situation exceeds standard parameters. Logic dictates we must improvise. The room fell silent in shock at hearing such heresy from a safety inspector. What followed was the most flagrant violation of safety protocols in the history of the Galactic Federation. Under Jack's direction, the assembled team bypassed safeguards, rerouted critical systems, and performed manual overrides that would have given any safety instructor a coronary. We need to physically separate the main computer from the network, Jack explained. Complete air gap. It's the only way to stop the cascade. As the countdown to critical failure reached its final minutes, Jack found himself in a maintenance shaft with Chloe beside him. Together they reached the central processing core, a massive crystalline structure pulsing with energy. "We need to pull the main connection nodes simultaneously," Jack explained. "On my mark." Chloe hesitated. "The documentation states that manual disconnection can result in feedback energy sufficient to vaporize organic matter." Jack raised an eyebrow. Having second thoughts about improvisation? The alien's patterns shifted before settling on a determined blue. "I calculate a 72% probability of survival. Acceptable risk under current circumstances. That's the spirit. 3, 2, 1, now." They yanked the connections free together. For one terrifying moment, energy arced wildly around them, then the system went dark. In the silence that followed, Jack held his breath. Had they succeeded? Slowly, emergency lights flickered on, then main power returned. Across the station, systems began to reboot, free from the cascading failure protocol. They had done it, by breaking every rule in the book. The aftermath of the crisis transformed the Galactic Safety Convention into something entirely different. The agenda was scrapped in favor of an unprecedented discussion about risk, innovation, and the human approach to safety. Jack found himself addressing the assembled delegates, with Chloe standing supportively at his side. "Safety isn't about eliminating risk," he explained. "It's about understanding risk well enough to know when to follow the rules and when to break them. Humans don't ignore safety because we don't value life, we balance safety against progress, against discovery, against living rather than merely existing." The Federation's Supreme Safety Council deliberated for 3 days before reaching a historic decision: the creation of the Human Exception Clause in all standard safety protocols. The clause officially recognized that, under certain circumstances, humans would be permitted to bypass standard safety procedures based on their species' unique risk assessment capabilities. As Jack prepared to depart, Chloe approached him with formal documentation. "The Council has created a new position," she explained, her patterns swirling with amusement. "Federation Risk Assessment Consultant. They request you fill this role. They want to officially authorize me to break rules." Jack asked incredulously. "They want you to teach others when rules should be broken," Chloe corrected. "I will be your liaison." Jack looked down at the documentation, which notably lacked the usual 1,000 pages of safety disclaimers. "Does this